Welcome back. This week we're focusing on 5 assumptions you need to question so you can get better. And what we're looking to do is discern between fact and fiction on these assumptions. And yesterday we looked at the fear of exposure that's fueling the symptom of imposter syndrome. So you can go back to that episode and listen to it if you missed it. And today's assumption that we're going to look at underlies our struggle with trusting our own judgment. Now, this one is tricky because we did make some maybe misguided or maybe even downright bad judgments that got us into or kept us into that nightmare of relationship with a narcissist. So what's the false assumption, Wendy? What would you call it that underlies this one?
Oh, this is a should statement. I should have known better.
I should have known better. Yeah.
I should have known better. I should have been able to see this person for who they were immediately. Mm-hmm. I should not have been so easily tricked or tricked at all. Mm-hmm. I should never have married this person. I should never have taken this job. I should just fill in the blank with some version of I got myself into this by not noticing something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And there's some big implications because once we accept that, an assumption basically, and especially if you look at this from a spiritual standpoint, an assumption means there's something we have come into agreement with. Mm-hmm. An assumption can be true or false. We're looking right now at false assumptions, but we came into agreement with, I should have known better. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of implications with that. Like, somehow like we had the foresight or whatever that we could have seen that this was a narcissist. Well, if we didn't have any background education in this, some of them are really, really good at playing the game, and our tendency is to take our human qualities that we have and we project them onto other people. So it doesn't occur to us that we could be dealing with someone who's doing this sort of thing.
Well, if you're not a person who steals things, it doesn't occur to you that maybe the person in the Target or the Walmart or the grocery store, wherever you are, might be pocketing something, because you would never do that. But there are people out there who steal. And if you're not a person who just generally lies to try to trick people to get something, it doesn't occur to you that someone might lie to you. And there are people out there who lie constantly to try to trick people and get their way or take things that aren't theirs or create an advantage. And so the fact is if you are generally a trusting person who treats other people the way you want to be treated, and you don't go through life purposefully lying and cheating and stealing and manipulating and trying to get your way, it most likely, the assumption you have is, well, most people are like me. And people make mistakes and people do things they shouldn't do. And everybody's capable of a little white lie, but goodness, nobody would create a web of lies over 6 months to make something happen. I don't even have the energy to think that way. There are people who do.
Yes.
There are people who do. And so the assumption you make is everybody is like me? No. And so after you've been used or hurt or tricked by this con man or con woman, the assumption, well, I should have known better.
Right.
I should have been able to see that this person was lying or cheating or stealing or tricking me or, well, a good con man, just like a good magician, walks away and you have no idea what just happened or how.
Exactly.
All you know is the person was over there and now they're over there, and how'd they get from that box to this box, or how'd that thing disappear, or how'd they tear that thing up and now it's in one piece. You're not meant to see the stuff in the background. There's actually, they're actually having you look over your left shoulder because everything's happening down by your right hip. And so you're not even looking the right direction on purpose. And so saying I should have known better is like saying, I just saw this magician's trick for the first time and I should immediately understand how everything works.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
Coming from that, once we've embraced that, we've come into agreement with that assumption, which is a falsehood, then our natural thing is to say, I really can't trust myself to make good decisions.
Well, no, because now you've got to generalize this, right?
Yes.
You've got to generalize this to, well, I was tricked once, I could be tricked again.
And so we can again fall into a couple of ditches with this. Like I either don't trust myself to make decisions, so I'll hold myself apart. I don't trust myself, so therefore I don't engage. I just keep a distance because I'm trying to protect myself.
Yeah.
Or I can't trust myself to make good decisions or to not be tricked again. Therefore, I need to rely on other people's perspectives. So either one of those ditches can put you into a lot of problems.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's a really unhealthy thing. And just to give you an example of like how clever some of this is, and Wendy, we talked about this a little bit before we were recording.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously I get this stuff, right? With narcissistic abuse, and generally when I've got my game face on and when I'm out there, I can spot certain things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's certain things that send my antenna up when I hear people talking a certain way, or I watch certain behaviors that I don't jump to conclusions, but it just puts my antenna up. And sometimes I get a little Holy Spirit tap on the shoulder of just like, pay attention to this or that. And so I pay attention, you know, and until I get further information that says, yeah, back off or whatever. Well, I'll give you an example of this, of how they're out there, you know, and how they show up in different ways. Very tricky the way they show up. So I'm on my prayer team at church just this past Sunday. And a woman came forward and she asked my prayer partner and I to pray for her. And she had the tears. She had a very sad story. She said, I have faith, but I'm going through this. And it was like a crisis situation that she was in, and something had happened and she was left with nothing. And she had 2 kids, yada, yada. And I had a feeling, because I just asked her some questions and it didn't quite add up, but she was also distraught. So I gave her the benefit of the doubt. You know, we're there at church, and I know that narcissists and other not great people can show up at churches because, Wendy, just like you always say, the wolves go where the sheep are. And so after I prayed for her, I saw something come over her, and I knew right then. And that was not a good and wholesome thing. And then it hit me that she was not there because of faith. I questioned if any of her story was true. And I think she was just there looking for handouts or looking for the church to give her money or something like that, you know? So it just goes to show you that, you know, I do trust my judgment. I've worked on myself a lot. I've seen a lot in action. I can spot certain things, you know,
Mm-hmm.
of questionable behavior and narcissism. But this woman, my tendency being in that setting was to immediately give her the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that I had poor judgment. It's not that I can't trust myself to make good decisions, but we have to be very careful that we just assume things right off the bat. Here was a stranger. It was in a setting where I'm used to people coming forward who are struggling. They're vulnerable. And there was a wolf
Mm-hmm.
that came forward in the middle of that, you know? So we can cause problems for ourselves if we say, I can't trust myself to make good decisions. You know, if I believe that, then I might leave the prayer team and just back off.
Mm-hmm.
So that I'm not faced with things like that. You know, if I say I can't trust my judgment, then I'd better keep my walls up, you know, keep my distance, hide away to protect myself. And, you know, none of those kind of things are healthy. It doesn't lead us to a good place.
Well, the fact is we all need to make lots of decisions every day, and we
Mhm.
need to feel comfortable making them and trusting them. And sometimes we'll do well and sometimes we won't,
Right.
right? But we still need to be able to make them and not freeze. And the other thing is that learning who is safe and not safe
Mhm.
is actually a life skill. It is not something you are necessarily born with, knowing who is a safe person and an unsafe person. And that's
Mhm.
true of a lot of things in life.
Right.
There's a lot of ways that you can practice developing wisdom, developing judgment, developing your ability to gather clues about, is this a good thing? Is this a safe thing? Is this a healthy thing? Is this a holy thing? Is this, like you experienced, possibly a con where
Mhm.
someone is spinning a very fake story, hoping that they can get something that actually was meant for someone else in the real situation? And so we don't want to get to a spot where we hide ourselves away, we
Right.
hide our gifts away, where we stop deciding things, or where we outsource all of our decisions to somebody
Mhm.
else because we don't trust our own judgment.
For sure.
And this is a spot where the reality check and the things you need to be looking for, again, we're going to take out the notepad or the phone notes or whatever we've got and just start looking at, what assumptions am I making? Where am I trusting my judgment, and where am I not trusting my judgment.
To make it more worth your while to invest a little bit of time and energy to do this, because we have to think about if we do feel that assumption in operation, is it helping us or impeding us? Because sometimes we think it's protecting us.
Yes.
And maybe there's a grain of truth in there that it's protecting us, because we did feel very naive and vulnerable before. So now we don't feel that way necessarily as much, but we don't necessarily have all the answers. So that's okay. You know, it just means that you need more education. You need some further help. But it's not a black or white kind of thing. You know, there's a whole spectrum of what we come to understand and how we develop our ability to discern things, you know, and to what to look for so that we can make sound judgments. So if we're living by that assumption, is it helping us or is it impeding us? How does it impact us if you own a business or you lead a business or a team? How is that impacting your ability to do that? You know?
And that's what you take notes on. This is the thing that I was getting stuck on. Did this make me feel safe? Did it make me feel unsafe? Did it help? Did it impede? Did it impact my ability to lead a team, make a call, handle something? Right. So those are the types of notes we definitely want. You're right. You need to make this type of effort, because it's awkward and time consuming, worth your while. The data needs to help you. You're not just taking data to take data. Right. That's a waste of your time.
Right. And there's something we don't factor into this equation, is that it's possible that we have gained wisdom through all this. And maybe in some ways we're better equipped than ever before to make sound judgments. I've got a masterclass, and you'll find it in the notes. It's called Make It Make Sense. And it is a complimentary masterclass. It's on demand, so you can walk yourself through it as convenient for your schedule. But I'd really encourage you to do that. It would help a lot with this.
Those are great classes that you have. And one of the things you put in there that I always appreciate too is, whose perspective are you seeking? Right? Are you seeking God's perspective? Are you seeking God's help? Are you seeking God's wisdom? Where are you looking for the reasons you're doing these things? And where are you trying to get the information from? That's an important part of all of this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're happy to talk with you. You'll find an email address for us there in the description. But we hope that you join us tomorrow, because we're going to unpack another false assumption. And this is one that's draining our passion and leaving us feeling sort of lackluster, that symptom we talked about last week of being lackluster and trudging through our days. We're going to take a look at the false assumption that underlies that. All right, so we encourage you to partner with God, just like Wendy was saying. Ask for his perspective and expect him to do immeasurably more than you asked or hoped for. Remember that we're with you on this journey to provide some guidance and wisdom, and we're always going to challenge you to grow. So focus today on becoming just 1% better. You don't have to, transform overnight. Just work on being 1% better with just these little challenges that we give you each day. And it's all going to be cumulative. And so you will see, as you look back over the months, you'll see how much you have changed. And as always, be sure to like and subscribe, share this episode. That'll help others. And remember, just like I said, you'll find some links for helpful resources in the description. You can also email us at hello@AnnetteChesney.com. Keep on going. I know this is challenging to look inward at yourself and to catch yourself in certain behaviors and ways of thinking, but keep going, because we know that your best is yet to come. We'll see you tomorrow.